Yay guys, so I moved in. It's been around a week since I moved in to this place, and I already made this place kind of look like a house. Before anything else, I actually wanted to have a sit-down talk with you guys, again, why I moved, how I feel, and most importantly, how much it costs to get a house in Korea. Again, why I decided to go independent from living with Sylvia with a roommate is so that I could be more independent. Not to say that I wasn't productive when I was living with my roommate Sylvia, but I wasn't able to have a proper filming space. I always filmed on my bed and I felt like I wasn't able to really divide my own personal life, like sleeping and all that, with working life. So that is the reason why I found this place, and I was specifically looking for a loft house, 복층 in Korean, where on the first floor it's a living area and on the top you can use it as your sleeping area. So now let's get into the technicals, which is the part you guys are going to be most curious about. First, to get a house in Korea, there are different apps you can actually use to house hunt. Or you just go to a nearby real estate office, 부동산 in Korean, to ask if there are empty houses for rent. If you want to buy, you can still go there. If you can't afford it, you can buy a house. But I was looking for a house that I could get for rent. So I went on one of those apps and looked for houses that fits my demands. And I came up with a couple and decided to go and see them in real life.
여름에는 가족 치고 겨울에 춥지 않을까?
불평이니까. 여기가 몇 평인 거죠?
여기가 전용 면적으로 하면 한 6점 몇 평이기 때문에 6점 면적 빼고
So I had two houses to visit. The first one was the house we went to today. I got to look at two different rooms. And then the second one is another building. But then me and my mom realized first house should be the best option. So we just decided to go on with the contract today. How I feel about the house is it's very new. It's a new apartment, and then also I was honestly really shocked by the size. It was pretty tiny. It was so tiny. I mean, it's hard to get a quite spacious house in Seoul, compared to the house I was living in with Sylvia. It's still quite expensive with that size, the location and the condition. The price is still expensive, but as of now, I think it's the best one I can go with. Alright guys, that was a very quick process. I literally just signed the contract. And as you saw, I did sign the contract right away. So when you rent a house in Korea, I won't talk about buying a house because I never bought a house. So there are three major ways in which you can rent a house in Korea. First is 월세, second is 전세, and then the third is kind of like a middle ground between number 1 and 2, which would be called 반전세. So first way is the 월세, which is how I got this house. So the concept of 월세 is you pay a quite big amount of deposit in the beginning, and on top of that you pay a quite high monthly rent. And then the second one, 전세, is you pay a bulk of money in the beginning and you don't get to pay anything during the term of your contract, and you get all that bulk of money back after the contract. So you might be so you don't really pay anything. Yes, 전세, you don't really pay anything, but that bulk of money in the beginning, not many people have that much money in their pocket. Within Korea, that 전세 amount can vary from place to place, but in Seoul, it can range from around 100 million won to, it can go on and on, up to a billion won even. Not many people have like that much money in their pockets, so what they would do is they would apply for a loan from the bank, and when you borrow money from the bank, obviously there's an interest you have to pay for, and you pay the bank the interest every month. So basically you pay monthly rent to the bank. And the reason why many people also go with the 전세, the second option, is because the amount of money you pay to the bank every month, the loan, the interest, could be lower than the 월세, the monthly rent you will pay when you go with the first option. But it also depends because it's also this is a problem of this house. You already figured it out. And on the other hand, the reason why people go with the first option is because things get very complicated when you get a loan from the bank. And then the third one, as I said, is the middle ground of number 1 and 2. So you still pay a quite high amount of money as a deposit, but your monthly rent goes down. So you can go with the third option and still be getting a loan from the bank, and half of the deposit you can pay from your pocket. That's what many people do too. Or if you have quite a lot of money as cash, then you can pay everything as deposit, which you will get back after your contract. So those were the 3 major types of ways to rent a house in Korea. And again, I went with the first option. And okay, the most long-awaited part. How much is this place? So the deposit fee of this place was 1,000,000 won, 10 million won, and the monthly rent is 800,000 won, excluding the VAT. So including the VAT, it would be 880,000 won. I know it's quite expensive, but that's kind of how it is in Seoul. Getting a house in Seoul is crazy. It's very expensive. But even within Seoul, the costs vary so much. So it can be much lower than this house, and it can be much higher than this house. I also want to tell you guys how much it actually costs to be living here, because the monthly rent is not only it. So there is the maintenance cost, 관리비 in Korean. This place is an office-tel, what we call as an office-tel, which is like office plus tel, a house. It's an apartment, like a condo. So there are like public facilities that I use, like the elevator, the lift, and there's also the 경비 아저씨 and 관리 아저씨, the people who kind of maintain this space and guard this space. And there is also the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is also included, and that maintenance cost, all in all, is 95,000 won, 95,000 won. Plus, water, electricity, and gas usage is also separate. I still don't know how much it's going to cost because I haven't lived here for a month yet, and the bills come out every month. During summer, maybe the electricity will be quite high, and in winter, the gas will be very high because in Korea we have the winter season. It gets very cold and you can't live without the gas boiler, which is something to heat the house up. It comes from the floor actually. That costs a lot. The person from the building told me that it's probably going to cost around 50,000 won per month for now. So 880,000 monthly rent plus 95,000 plus around 50,000 tentative. That would result to around 1 million won to 105 million won. And then the food and other expenses are separate. So that would now become a living cost. In the future, I'll also make videos about living costs in Seoul. I can't say in Korea because in other places in Korea, it can be much lower. But I would say this place, considering its location, its condition, it is, I would say like, that would be the average. It's a little more on the expensive side, honestly, because this is a newly built office store, so yeah. I'm not sure if you guys are going to find the prices like cheap or expensive. Comparing it to the Philippines, I'm going to pick Makati because Makati is also like the most expensive city to live in, I would say, in the Philippines. It's quite similar, or it's actually cheaper. I know living in Makati, like a place like this in Makati would cost quite high as well. So I guess that was pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys like earned some information from it. I really hope. I talked so much, my throat hurts now. Oh, the sun. The golden hour. It's golden hour. So I hope you stay tuned for more of my living alone diaries. Room tour video will come soon as well, so stay tuned for that as well. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye-bye.